What I'm gonna do is after the presentation, I'll get the video of the recording, and then I'll also get the PowerPoint and send it all to you guys afterwards. And also, if you have questions after the fact, you'll have my email from the links that you've already gotten and then from the PowerPoint. Just feel free to reach out that way too, because all of us at Loved and Training, we want to be a resource to you guys from here on out. So if you ever have questions, just feel free to let me know, and then we will go from there. Again, don't feel like you got to write everything down. Throughout the PowerPoint, you'll see hyperlinks. I may hover over them so you can kind of get an idea of the websites, but they're for you guys to reference after the fact. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Let's see. If also, I just saw a thing that my computer signal is unstable. If I lose you guys and lag, I may repeat something. So bear with me if that's the case, because I want you guys to, let's see. I want you guys to get the information as clearly as possible, because when the recording happens, it won't lag on my end, but it may lag on your end. So I may repeat a few things in the recording for those watching afterwards, but like I said, I want you guys to get all the information as clearly as possible. So, okay, so here we go. So canine enrichment, okay? I want you guys to think about things that your dog does every day, okay? Whether it be in eating, walking, going outside to use the bathroom, all these things have enrichment entailed that we don't even realize. Whether it's eating, drinking, smelling things, walking on different surfaces, hearing things, seeing things, all those are enriching the dog's senses. So throughout the presentation, I'm going to try to break down enrichment into a few categories for you all. Mentally stimulating, physically exerting energy. I found that that was kind of the best way to present different ideas to you guys of how to enrich your dog's lives. So this by no means covers everything, because when it comes down to enrichment, our creativity is really what counts. Because we can think of something or see an idea and say, oh, I could use this to do that same thing. And by you using a novel object to do a task that your dog already knows, becomes novel to the dog. And also gives them a chance to connect the dots when it comes to doing the different exercises. So think about that. And also these categories too, they don't define the task. In fact, it's just the biggest way I could categorize it. But a lot of these things, you'll understand that they fall into multiple categories. Okay, so this isn't a defined thing, but it's a way to kind of present it to you guys and try kind of get your minds on the ideas of things that mentally stimulate your dog, or you know, the other categories that you'll see here in a second. So before we get into that, what is enrichment? So the idea of enrichment is doing something that improves or enhances the quality or value of something. So in the sense of your dog, enrichment is a task or doing something that provides physiological or physical stimulation to your dog. Again, that's a defined way to put it, but the possibilities are endless. When your dog does something that could be boring and it becomes exciting, that's the idea. That's what enrichment is. It's turning meaningless tasks into meaningful tasks. So let's get into these to actually why enrich your dog, okay? So this picture in the top right, this is Garth. This is a photo Garth's mom sent me one weekend after she said Garth had the best morning ever. So Garth, as you can see, got into a bedding, some type of stuffing, and just had a blast. So the idea with enrichment is that we want to turn, let's see. Okay, it may lag a little bit, like I said, I'm sorry. I will reiterate things if I need to, but again, the recording should go seamless, but again, I do apologize if it lags. So this photo right here, again, it's Garth on the best morning ever. We want to turn this morning from Garth, where he was probably bored and got into a bed and just started pulling at things, into this right here, which is Garth sleeping on his bed completely tired out from using his brain, his body, exerting all types of energy. So reasons why we would like to use enrichment in our dog's daily life. First is to have fun. Us at Love Them Train Them, we want our training sessions to be super fun. That's something that we emphasize to everyone, because if it's something that's stressing you out or stressing the dog out, then that's not something that we want to do. We want to increase their quality of life and their well-being. When it comes to our dogs and dogs at the shelter, enrichment is let's see. I guess someone just joined us. Welcome. So we're talking about why enrich your dog's life here. So when it comes to dogs at the shelter and our own dogs, enrichment is stressed a lot because it changes their well-being. It can be the difference of a dog that's hyperactive, jumping at the cage, to a dog that's comfortably sitting at the door but waiting to go out to do another enrichment session. Because we use positive reinforcement, we want it to be a constructive outlet for the dog, to where, unlike Garth in this photo up here, where his outlet was to pull at the stuffing, you want his outlet to be to go fetch something, or to go run to his bed and lay down, or do some task, or play with a toy that is feeding him. All those things put that energy towards something that's constructive, rather than having him be bored and find his own outlet, which a lot of times leads to destruction. Again, we want our dog to be healthy and fit, physically and mentally. A lot of times people will think that enrichment is busy work for your dog, right? In other words, you want to give your dog something to do so you can get a break. Now, that's not totally false, but I don't want you to think about enrichment along those lines, okay? So Molly, my dog, when I come home from work, I like to feed her out of her Kong. That's enrichment. Also, I'm not directly interacting with her while she's doing that, so it kind of is along the lines of busy work. But when you think of enrichment with your dog, I want you to think about it as something you guys do together, okay? So think about it along the lines of, we're going outside and we are going to do this thing. We're going to go on a walk together, or we're going to go play fetch, or we're going to go play with a teaser toy or something like that. Because when it comes to introducing these objects and tools to your dog, it's something that you have to initiate with them at first, okay? None of these items that I show you are magic, okay? Some of them your dog may like out of the box, but it's never guaranteed, and I would not bank on that. So it requires two to make this enrichment thing work, okay? Feedback from you tells the dog, oh, this is fun, or this pays off, or this leads to that, okay? So think about it along those lines, not busy work, okay? And lastly, I've attached this article right here that Purdue did about enrichment for dogs. It goes over different types of enrichment, sensory enrichment in particular, going down the lines of feeding, smelling, seeing, hearing, tasting, all those things. So that article's there for you guys, okay? All right. There we go. Okay, so types of enrichment. This is how we're gonna break it down. We have daily enrichment, things your dog does every day, physical exercise, mental activation, sensory stimulation, confidence building, and shaping behaviors. The last one is the most fun thing to do, but it's probably a webinar in itself, so I saved it for last because we'll probably be crunching in on time at that point, but I could talk about shaping forever. But so this picture on the right is Molly here in Pelham. And when I found this area, I was like, wow, can't believe I never knew it was there. But some people may just see rocks on the side of the road, but you have right there, I don't know, 30 opportunities to do different things on your walk. So when you're walking or out doing something, you want to go from tunnel vision to panoramic view, as far as completely taking in your surroundings. So think about it along the lines of what can we do to enrich our dog, not let's get from point A to point B as fast as possible, okay? So here we go. So daily enrichment, things your dog does every day. I mentioned some earlier: eating, drinking, using the bathroom, going on a walk, just being with you in the house. Your dog's going to do these things, but here's some benefits. The way I'm going to break down these categories are I'm going to introduce the benefits, then I'm going to introduce some things you can do it yourself as far as you can make or things you might already have in the house, and then things you can buy. So the benefits of daily enrichment, making everyday tasks into enrichment activities. Slow feeders are great because what they do is prevent the dog from inhaling their food. It also could prevent them from choking. You know, we want them to spend more time eating, not eat in 10 seconds and now we're on to the next thing. With some of the feeders, your dogs will learn to manipulate things. That can build confidence as far as learning how to make objects move. That pays off. Okay. Also, it can stimulate their minds as far as like you can feed them through puzzle toys or feed them through different ways where they have to work or have to solve problems to get the thing they want. Okay, so here's some things you can build yourself. Top right corner is just a PVC pipe with caps with some holes drilled in it. This can be made just simply by buying the PVC and drilling the holes. Now, you can make this easier or harder for your dog. With all of these things I'm going to show you, I want them to start off easy and then progress to being more challenging or more difficult. So one thing we don't want is your dog to get frustrated and then just forget the toy ever existed, you know, or think every time this thing comes out, I have to hit it 100 times to get a piece of food. So you can make it easier, like this PVC. You could take one of the caps off the end, or you could take both the caps off the end and let the dog just spin it and flip it till the treats come out. And then you can put a cap on, put both caps on, or drill holes strategically where more treats fall out or less treats fall out. So think about it like that. This bottom picture is a snuffle mat. These are super popular online that people are making with their downtime now, just with scrap fabric. But the idea is that your dog is going to forage for the food instead of just eating it out of a bowl, which most dogs will eat out of a bowl, but why not feed them this way, where it takes a 10-second inhaling of the food, excuse me, into 5-minute search for your food type of deal. Now, all of the enrichment activities we cover should be supervised. That's a point I really want to emphasize too, because we don't want your dog ripping up this snuffle mat and then going into a pile of laundry and ripping that up. You know, this is something that's monitored, and this is also something that when it's over with, the thing goes away. The PVC pipe goes away once it's over. I feed Molly with a Kong wobbler, which you'll see in a second. I watch her, and then when the thing is empty, I pick it up and then it goes away because I don't want her to keep hitting it, being frustrated. And I also don't want her getting bored and chewing it up. So think about it like that. So other ways we can enrich their daily life is on walks, letting them smell things, letting them jump on things, or letting them investigate things. Investigation's huge. But just changing your mind along the lines of, we need to get this walk in a certain amount of time. Something that really helped me out was knowing that, okay, when I go on a walk, we're going to go on a walk, but I don't have to be anywhere afterwards, if that makes sense. There's no time constraint. So that leaves room for endless enrichment for her. So keeping that in mind. Another thing is you can feed them by playing fetch. It's not a traditional fetch because she's not bringing anything back, but you can just toss a piece of food at a time and let them go get it. She's going to get out some physical energy too. There's your crossover. But it's a way to make feeding time more interactive, okay? Last thing on here is the Pupsicles. It's something that I found online where you can take yogurt, blueberries, peanut butter, carrots, all types of food that is safe for the dog to eat. You can blend it up and pour it into ice trays, freeze them, and then when it comes time for your dog to have a snack or a treat, you can give them one of these and they can just work on it for a little bit. It's safe for them. You can watch them to make sure, you know, I guess they're not cracking their teeth on it. It's not too frozen, but it's a way to make feeding time more exciting for them. Okay. So this is a video of Molly doing a snuffle mat with the yoga mat. You can do this same thing with a towel. In other words, you're gonna line food, roll up the towel, line some more food, roll it up, and you'll see here that she's learned to kind of push it with her nose and get more food. So I'll kind of jump forward. So she knows there's food in there, and she's learning to manipulate it with her nose. So it makes feeding time a little more interesting to her. Again, anyone can just put a bowl down and expect their dog to eat it, likely really fast, but why not do something fun? So like I said, you can do this with a yoga mat. A long bath towel is just as good, but it's a way that they can use their brains and their bodies to get things they want instead of just it being put right there like out of a feeding trough kind of deal. Okay, so here's some things you can buy. The Kong, pretty popular, it's right here. Here's a lot of things you can put in the Kongs. It takes some prep work, but if you can get it kind of a schedule set up to where you know, okay, we're gonna fill up all our Kongs on Sunday, and here's our Kongs throughout the week. That kind of helps people out. The Kong wobbler is right here. The next video you'll see is her working that. But again, it's a way for them to manipulate things to get their food instead of it just being put out there. The lick mat is this green mat right here. That is awesome for dogs who are anxious in cars or who are stir crazy in cars because that is something that gets their mind off of being in a moving vehicle and it puts their mind on a task. You can use peanut butter, yogurt, and freeze it the same way you would with a Kong, and that can really be a game changer for some dogs. Again, supervision is very important. We don't want to just give them this thing and completely disregard them eating it, because you could have things getting ingested you don't want ingested or destroyed, or you could have peanut butter all over your car, you know? So it's best to supervise them in some way or set it up to where we know exactly what they're doing. This last link right here is a bowl insert. It's one of those kind of spiral tracks that you can put inside of a bowl. But all these are links for you guys to check out afterwards. Okay, and here's the Kong wobbler video. So this thing is full, and that little hole right there is where the treats are going to come out. And as she knocks it out, it comes out one by one. So again, it could turn feeding time in from 10 seconds to 10 minutes, you know. Just be mindful of where the treats go, because ants potentially could, you know, congregate where the treats are at. Also, I do have an issue of treats going under the couch. So be mindful of that and have a way to kind of get the treats out from under the couch. So that way your dog's not pawing at the bottom of the couch saying, I know there's treats under there, I can't get to them, but they're there. So little things to think about. Okay, the next category is physical exercise. So this is Willa. Willa is Brianna's dog. Brianna's one of our assistant trainers. I love them, train them. And Willa loves to run and leap, and you can see how shredded she is. So here's some benefits for some physical activity your dogs can do. The benefits, they get to be outside. Just being outside in general is enrichment, because there's infinite things out there. Birds are chirping, squirrels are climbing trees, people are walking by in front of your house. There's lots of things happening out there. So just being out there with them is enrichment in itself, but they also can get some physical energy out and exert energy in a productive way. That's important. Again, we don't want to end up with a dog who's bored out of their mind. They've been inside all day. They've been in the same house all day. Give them some novelty, give them a place to run, so that way they can stay healthy, they can stay fit, their coordination will get better. Again, you can bond with them. I feel like that's so understated when it comes to enrichment, because it's something that y'all are doing together. You know, you can go and run and play with your dog just like another dog can. So it's super fun, and I think it should be emphasized that it only makes your relationship better. Lastly, if you practice some agility things, you could potentially go on to trial at places. If you start to learn the canine sports, there's a ton out there. Fast Cat is a new one where the dogs chase a lure on a line. Agility stuff is great. There's plenty of stuff out there. Dock diving, West Rover in Westover, Alabama, they just opened up, I think, privately for one-on-one sessions for dock diving. So there's a lot of things you can do, but it's definitely worth looking into. So here are some things you can do yourself. Again, just going out there is huge. This first photo right here is Meredith, another one of our trainers, with Ivy and Lennox doing some canine cross. You can see the leash is kind of tied around her waist right there. They sell things that you can attach to your waist, but you can also do it yourself. But running and walking with them is pure enrichment. It really doesn't matter where you go, but just going is going to be huge for your dog because they're going to be walking by things they can smell. There's going to be things walking by them they can look at, cars, trains, sounds, all types of things that are stimulating their senses while you're doing this can be really beneficial for them. I want to emphasize too, letting your dog smell things. Maybe not smell things forever, but definitely smelling things is a huge sense that we want to let them take in their surroundings. This picture on the right is Molly on an agility jump that I made with PVC pipe. Right here I have a link to this website that has a bunch of blueprints for do-it-yourself agility equipment using PVC. They have links to buy the connecting pieces and the cups for the bar that goes across. And then all you have to do is buy the PVC. And you can cut it down and make it yourself. I made a ton of them here recently. And they're super easy, light, and you can break them down very easily too. Jumps, weave poles, paws, boxes, hoop stands, all types of stuff they have for you to just make yourself. So that can be really helpful. This bottom picture right here is a sandbox that somebody made for their dog. This is a great example of creating something, a positive outlet for a behavior that your dog does that potentially could be destructive. And all it took was a few pieces of wood, drilling them together, and then kind of softening the ground right here. Dogs potentially just want to dig a place for them to lay down because it's cooler than the surface. So you can wet the ground, kind of mulch it up a little bit to where it's soft, and then you can bury their own toys in there. You could bury food in there, anything to encourage the dog digging in that place. And you'd be very surprised at how quickly a dog goes from digging holes all over the grass, all over the yard, to a centralized place where it's promoted or it's encouraged that they dig there. And then the dogs are like, oh, I can dig here, so now here I go. That's an easy thing we can do is just get 3 boards, make yourself a little rectangle, and let them dig there. So here's a video of her doing the jump. It's a short one, so we'll let it go. You can see the little jump cups right there. It's very simple to make that. And again, with this and like other toys too, the way you introduce it to them is very important. I'm not going to start with the jump crazy high. I'm going to start with the bottom bar that's on the ground and teach her to walk over it. And then we'll slowly progress up from there. But don't get crazy. Don't raise it too quickly. Get a lot out of a little, you know, let her do just today or just that day, the jump at this level. And then the next day, try it a little higher. No sense in going to a 10 on your first day when you can really take your time and get to a 10 on your 10th day, you know? So take your time when introducing them to these things. But like I said earlier, you may have to interact with them with the objects first. Like with the jump, you may need to walk through the jump with them a few times and then walk on the outside. So if you ever have questions about introducing these products to your dog, contact one of us. we would love to give you some ideas of how to introduce it to them. Here are some things you can buy for physical enrichment. You could buy agility equipment. I'd rather make it. You know, it's more fun to have something that you can say, oh, I made this. But you can buy things. Hula hoops, a very useful thing. You could have the dog walk through the hoop, jump through the hoop. You could do a lot of interesting things with that piece of equipment right there. The way I taught Molly to jump through the hoop was Molly would jump on the couch. So I put the hoop up to the couch and fed treats through it and shaped it to where she was jumping through the hoop to get to the couch, and then brought it outside. And she realized, oh, this is just that thing in a new place now. The Jolly Ball and Jolly Egg are fantastic pieces of equipment for hyperactive dogs or herding dogs. It's something that they can't maintain access of, but it's something that as long as they make contact with it, it's going to give feedback. It's going to move. It's going to do something. So I have a couple videos of those products for you. And also tug ropes are great. Just be mindful of the thickness compared to your dog's mouth. You don't want a Boston Terrier with the giant, the giant tug rope that's 5 inches thick, okay? So be mindful of that. But with tugging, we want them, there are a couple things to know about when playing tug with your dog. One, I tell my students is that tug has an end. There's an end to the game, and it ends with you, the human, in possession of the tug rope. We don't want your dogs to take the tug rope and run away and then start chewing on it afterwards, because then it becomes that boring thing. We want them to want to do more. We want them to want to interact with it more. So tug has an end. And also, we need to reward them for giving it up. That comes with a drop command or release or a give it command. I like to offer them food. They give up the tug rope, they get the food, tug rope goes away. So those are things to think about, but here's a link for you guys to check out afterwards for kind of some rules of tug. So this first video on the left, you're gonna see two dogs, Stella and Grant, two little hyperactive, one's a Boston mix and one's a little pit mix. Their parents came to me asking, I need to give them something to do because they're just too much for me right now. So I brought them over there and showed them this product, and their dogs loved it right out of the gate. These are dogs that will probably run till the weekend gets here. So giving them something like this is huge for them to have a positive outlet for all that energy. But know that this game has an end also, because if you have a hyperactive dog that loves to herd things and you just let them have this thing forever, then they will probably play with it till they pass out. So step in, intervene, get the product. If you can't get it from them, throw some food one way and then grab it and then put it away. You know, some dogs are so obsessive over it, you may need to put it out of sight. So this next video is Kobe and Meredith, our other trainer I mentioned earlier. This is the Jolly Ball, much bigger. And what I'm gonna do is play the volume so you can hear Kobe's intensity with this object, because some dogs can be quiet and hurting, but some dogs will sound like they're losing their mind, but they're really having the best time of their life. So. So you can kind of hear he's kind of tired out by the end of that video. But initially, that excitement burst that's happening, he's vocalizing while he's going after the thing. So your neighbors may be like, what is going on over there? But once you show them that your dog's having the time of their life, they're like, man, that looks like a lot of fun. Maybe I'll let my dog try it. But again, those things have ends. The games have ending points. So really keep that in mind when you're introducing them to these objects, okay? Let's see. Okay, mental activation. So brain work, brain games, things that allow your dog to make choices and control their outcomes. So this is huge for all dogs really, but for nervous and anxious dogs, this is really something that they can focus on, that they can start to predict outcomes. They know if I look under this thing, there may be food or may not, but I made the choice to check it out. You know, I made the choice to manipulate things. Training itself, when you get to teach them to learn to offer behaviors, that's huge because they're using their brain to figure out things. And once they do figure it out, you tend to see them offer it more and more often because they're like, oh, I figured out that thing. Let me see if it works this time. You know, so teaching dogs to make choices are huge. But knowing that they made the choice is really what's sinking into their brain. So here are some things you can do with your dog. Pick a hand game. You know, the old fashioned have a treat in one hand, so let the dog choose. Make this easy at first. Again, if you need to have multiple treats in your hand, you can let them smell the treats and then let them pick, and then you can start to challenge them. And that concept is the same with the shell game. In this picture on the right-hand side, I have cones, where when I'm first playing this game with them, I show them the food underneath and then move them around maybe once or twice, and then let them pick. And then you can get more elaborate with the game. But this is not 3-card Monty. The dog wins every time. So just think about it along the lines of, if your dog's making the wrong choice, show them the food, let them eat it. We don't want them to get frustrated. We want the opposite. We want them to figure it out. But if it's too difficult, make it easier so they can succeed. I think that's very important. The other picture right here is just a simple toilet paper roll. Okay, you can get any type of box or, I don't know, aluminum container, line it with paper towel rolls or toilet paper rolls, and put food in there. Your dog will be searching through that thing to find the food. Not every toilet paper roll will have food in it, but some will. So having an option of your dog to choose and search through things is using his brain. The muffin tin, I'm going to show you in a video next of Taz searching for food with the muffin tin. And then positive reinforcement training. Training covers all of these options here, but know that your dog is smart. Every dog is smart. People always say, I think my dog's pretty smart. Well, for sure he is. It's just a matter of communicating with them. That's what we are really establishing when it comes to training. But know that your dog is for sure using their brain during training. It's not just do whatever I can for the food. It's if I do this, this result happens. So this video is Taz, and you'll see that there's only a couple tennis balls on this muffin tin. Again, start easy and then graduate to more difficult things. You could have this whole thing lined up. But you'll see that he's going to learn to check out underneath, pull a ball up, and there's food there. And I think both of those tennis balls have food under them, because this was kind of the first time showing him this game. But once you get to the point, you can have just one or none. So there wasn't any food there, but he's still searching. You can see him using his brain to say, there was food under that one, but why isn't there food under this other one? Okay, so here's some things you can buy. Slide puzzles. The picture on the top right is a slide puzzle. You would just put food under there. And you may need to show the dog that there's food under here at first, because they're going to see this piece of wood and be like, what is that thing? But once they connect the dots knowing potentially there's food under here, then they can learn to search for it and start to manipulate the things. Don't leave them with that, because it becomes a pretty hefty wood chew toy for some dogs. Flip toys, which we'll have a video of next. Buttons. Dogs learn to press a button and something happens, whether they get a treat or a light comes on or it makes a sound and then they get a treat. They're manipulating this object with a result happening. So thus using their brain, learning that if I do this, this thing happens. Shaping interest in novel toys. So let's say your dog loves a tennis ball and they'll fetch a tennis ball. Why not introduce to them a new toy and have them fetch that? Or why not introduce to them this tug thing, teach him how to to tug on that or to fetch that, and then attach it to your keys, and then you can have your dog fetch your keys or something else. These are just examples, but it's never done. The fetch game itself is never done. There's always something new you can get to see if they'll retrieve it. But you'll have to shape it from the beginning, which is something we'll talk about a little bit later as far as shaping things go. But you got Charlie with the tennis ball, and then Waffles down here with this weird toy that I've never seen before. So surely that is something new to him too. All right, so here's Rebecca's dog, Jacques, with the flip puzzle. Jacques is awesome, and he does a lot of nose work. So this really comes in handy when acting with this toy. You see he's going to be pawing things, smelling, flipping. All these different objects are being manipulated with the result of there being food underneath it. There's a lot of sounds too. Let me let you hear real quick. So those sounds right there, to a sound-sensitive dog, can be kind of not therapeutic, but kind of help with the process of learning that different sounds of when I do things, sounds happen. They're not always scary. Sometimes they pay off, and sometimes there's food associated with it. So the counter conditioning happening right there, as far as sounds can predict food, it's very subtle, but it's definitely something. So it's stimulating that sense as well. Let's see. Okay, so speaking of sensory stimulation, the next category is just going to cover, it's very broad, but I want you to think about things that, enhance your dog's senses, whether it's smell, sight, sound, feeling, novelty is huge. They're all confidence building things and can only enhance your dog's life. So what they do, they encourage natural behaviors, enhance their senses, increase their curiosity in the world around them. So remember what I said earlier about having a panoramic view when you're leash walking instead of tunnel vision. That goes all over. But if you're walking down the street and there's a pile of brush that somebody just recently cut from their grass, from their yard, and it's sitting there, it's a perfectly good opportunity for you to let your dog go and investigate it. There could be critters in there. There could be flowers that still have good sense to them. You never know, but why not let them check it out? It doesn't do any harm as long as it's not across the street and they're pulling you across the street to it, to let them check it out. So like I said, there's endless opportunities for enrichment. You just have to become aware of them, okay? Lastly, they decrease stress. When dogs are doing things that they naturally do, whether it's sometimes chewing, smelling, tasting, licking, walking on things, that gives them more control of their environment, but it also decreases their stress. So some things you can do, canine nose work. I mentioned that with Jacques doing the flip puzzle. This picture is Donald up here. It's as simple as putting food in boxes or suitcases or any type of objects that aren't the bowl, and letting your dog investigate. Once they get the hang of it, you can add in multiple boxes and scatter the treats to where not every container has food in them, but your dog is checking them out. And it's rewarding your dog for checking out and getting the food that's in there. Ball pits are great. You can put, I have suitcase written right there, suitcase or a container with balls in it instead of a giant baby pool, which a lot of people do use, but not everyone has. Encourages your dog to forage through foreign objects for food. That's a great way to enhance their senses and reward them for checking things out. Car rides and field trips, something we all have vehicles. We've all been stuck at home, so why not go for a joyride with your dog in the car? As long as your dog's not anxious or super nervous about cars, this can be a great asset for them. Canine karaoke, so singing a song to your dog. We all do it, but it's a great way to bond with your dog, to have your dog look at you like, what are you saying? And just, it's fun. So I highly encourage that. Every time you come home, think of a new song, make one up, or sing the song you were singing on the car ride home to them. Story time. So this is Percy down here. Percy's one of our friends, and she sent me this picture of him reading a book to him, you know, or it looks like he's reading the book. But if you read something to them or you play an audio book or something, that's enhancing their sense of sound. You know, they may not know exactly what we're saying, but they know we're saying it to them. So you can definitely see a difference in a dog that's just kind of hanging out, or a dog that's like, I really wish I knew what you were saying, so I'm going to keep paying attention until I figure it out or until it ends. Breath work is huge, something I recently discovered. This next video you'll see promotes calmness in dogs. When we're training with them, sometimes we go so fast and we deliver the treats so quickly that the dogs aren't completely relaxed when they're doing this thing. So you'll see in the video, rewarding a breath is huge. And we use this a lot with reactive dogs, or all dogs really though. But the idea of them breathing and being rewarded for that goes a long way, which is still yet to be determined, but something that we're just starting to kind of broach the topic of. So lastly, brushing, grooming, massaging them. That goes without saying, that's huge. If you know that your dog is tactile, loves to be brushed or groomed, use that to your advantage, you know. Don't make it a chore, but instead make it enrichment. Talk to them while you're doing it. Play some soft music while you're doing it, or music that you like. I think it's understated too that things that we like, ultimately they may like, but it puts us at a sense of ease. And if we're at a sense of ease, then your dog should be, or will likely be, at a sense of ease too. As long as it's not some heavy metal banging music, I think they would probably enjoy it if it's relaxing. So here's a video of Parker, one of our volunteers. He set up this big novel thing for Gnarls to check
Parker,
out.
what?
And this is gonna be a mixture of nose work, sensory stimulation, confidence building, novel objects, all the above. Because you see, he's just gonna plow right through it for the food, but all these things falling and clanging and making sounds really aren't affecting him that much. You know, he's more of like, I'm going for the food. All this other stuff is secondhand to me. I'm gonna check out everything. So this is just an example of nose work. I wouldn't start off at this level, but it's definitely a place you can get to pretty quickly once they realize the nature of the game. This video right here is the breathwork video I mentioned. So I've added this arrow. I want you to watch her nostrils flare, and that's when the treat's gonna be delivered. So I may be lagging. I'm gonna give it a couple seconds to load. So again, I'm sorry if I lag. I tried to shut off all the things that use Wi-Fi except for my phone, and I've been getting a few messages saying that I'm lagging. So it doesn't surprise me, but here we go with this breathwork video. So watch her nostrils. I'm gonna show her a treat and raise it to my eyes, like our watch command. When her nostrils flare, that's when I deliver the treat. So I'm marking the flare, there it is, and then delivering the treat. Once you know what to look for, I highly encourage you to practice this with your dog, because when Molly, so she's a reactive dog, when I'm out in public and I'm doing reactivity work with her, when she looks at a dog, I'm looking at her nostrils too. And when I see that flare, then I'm delivering the treat. So that's telling me that she's taking a deep breath when she's observing something that's very stimulating for her in that moment. And that's huge, because if they can learn every time I see something, I take a breath, then it makes everything a little bit smoother, and it encourages them to breathe actually when they're in the presence of this thing, instead of holding their breath. Okay, so things you can buy to enhance your senses. You could get scented oils. Lavender and chamomile have been studied to promote calmness in shelter environments, so why not at home? You could use a spritz bottle. I wouldn't, you could use a diffuser or one of those heated oil things. Just make sure they're out of reach for the dog. We don't want them actually ingesting this stuff. But some places talk about putting scents on towels in kennels. It's worth investigating. because I can't say for sure, but you would definitely want to monitor the dogs with those towels so they're not eating them, you know. Flavored bubbles are made specifically for dogs, I think. Um, but again, look into that. Um, Audio for dogs. It has been proven that dogs listening to classical music are more likely to relax or have a sedated type of atmosphere. But there still needs to be more studies on that, but definitely is worth looking into as well. This link at the bottom, Through a Dog's Ear, is a collection of classical music that's made for dogs to listen to. Also, audiobooks and stuff on YouTube are great. People just talking, like reading books, their voices can be soothing for dogs too. Okay, 2 more topics, I think. We're gonna have confidence building next. So this is Baby. Baby is one of my soul dogs from the shelter. She's amazing. But when she got there, she was so nervous, so anxious, stuck in the back of her cage. And through the staff at the shelter and some of us at Love Them Train Them, we worked with her, just baby steps, trying to get her interested in novel things, just being outside, investigating things. And it made a dramatic change in her life. So this video is just going to show her climbing on this stool right here, and I'll play it in a second. But some of the benefits that you'll see: increase their confidence, improve their well-being. For her, it increased her chance of becoming adoptable because she wasn't cowering in the back of her cage. She was more excited when people approached, or more open to the idea of people approaching her. It strengthens the bond, as all of these topics do. Increase body awareness, and they desensitize them to different heights, different surfaces, different things that they may not be used to. So keep it short because I know we're getting close on time. But this video, you can see her investigating something. Probably a week before this video, she wouldn't even be in this area outside with another dog. But after 10 minutes of enrichment, a couple weeks in a row, a few days, a week, is something that she really benefited from a lot. So things you can do: training again. Tricks are great. We teach a lot of tricks class, digital and in person. And they're all confidence building, whether it's playing a piano or putting their paws up on something or jumping over something. It all has a benefit in the end. Pupcore, parkour, dog style, is you can make an in-home obstacle course. You can get creative. All of these things, like I said, you can get really creative with, as long as your dog is up for it. If they're stressing out, pump the brakes, make it easier. We don't want them to get stressed when you are doing things with them. We want it to be the opposite. Climbing on things are great. Different heights, going over and under things too. Novel surfaces like sand and the woods, walking in creeks, the beach. All these different things are extremely beneficial for them. This video, you'll see Sunshine, another one of those dogs that grabs you by the heart, at the beach. You know, she's never been to the beach before. And then seeing her in this environment and thriving, splashing in the waves with other dogs too, you'll see in a second, is just huge, because this dog was one that was looking for a home for the longest time. And then when she found it, she was in the best place possible. So it's really awesome to see dogs in this environment, because we know where they were and we know where they're at now. And to see them having zoomies on the beach is just something too special, too special. Things you can buy, balance boards, you can make those too. Tunnels, boxes can become tunnels. But again, you want it to be easy for them at first and then build up from that. Crate shaping, there's a link to a crate shaping video that we made on here. Elevated beds, this is Georgia down here on this elevated bed. It's something novel. They can climb on it, they can rest on it. Fit Paws is a website that you can buy a lot of the equipment with, whether it's balance boards or spongy things that are unstable. All that unstable surfaces are great for your dog, but again, introduce it to them in spurts that are easy for them to digest and take in, because it can be overwhelming, and that's not what we want. So lastly, shaping behaviors. This is a huge topic that I could talk forever about. But the idea behind shaping is rewarding dogs for doing small behaviors leading towards the ultimate behavior. So if you're teaching your dog to fetch, which is a chain of behaviors put together, we may just reward interest in something and then change our criteria to where, let's say at first it was just looking at the object, the tennis ball, then rewarding them for only nudging the tennis ball. And then after a few reps of that, rewarding them for putting the tennis ball in their mouth, right? Or looking at the ball on the ground. You know, you can raise your criteria as long as your dog is succeeding. But our goals need to be reasonable and achievable. You may get lucky. You may throw the ball and your dog may go get it and bring it back. It does involve taking chances, but too many unsuccessful chances or attempts can lead to frustration. Thus, your dog sees a tennis ball and then is not interested in it. Molly, my dog, was not interested in tennis balls, but after shaping and practicing and training with them, with her, we started to put the pieces together as far as her becoming interested in it, knowing that when I go bring the ball or go get the ball, bring it back, I get food for that. So that's one way to do it. You want to limit distractions when you're shaping behaviors. Start inside, start in a place where there's not a lot going on, and build it up in there. And then when you take it to a new environment, start it from the beginning. You know, lower your criteria in a new environment because there's more distractions present. And lastly, if you see displacement behaviors like drinking water is a common displacement behavior, or just not being interested in the task anymore, that's your sign to just take a break. And that goes for all of this enrichment stuff I've kind of covered. If you find that your dog is not interested anymore, take a break. It's perfectly fine to do that. It's encouraged because we don't want your dog to start to dislike the task that we're doing or dislike the object that we're interacting with or trying to make pleasant for them. Because remember, it's supposed to be rewarding for them. So this is just a video on the Frisbee. I'm going to kind of skip through it because we're getting close. But it'll just show you the steps of, first, she's just putting her mouth on it, raise your criteria. And then next, she's going to actually, I think, put her mouth on the Frisbee. Yeah. So we're building on that. That's kind of the idea. It'll be there for you guys to watch afterwards. Let's see. So things I want you to take away from this as far as enrichment goes. Never force them to do anything. Remember, let them make the choice. Read their body language. If you're unsure, they're probably not stoked about it. So think about why they're not stoked about it, whether it's distractions or they've had enough or they're full or they'd rather go play with the kids that are running around the house instead of fetching this tug toy that you have or whatever. Think about that. Also, think about that behavior becoming something that you don't want to happen. Like your dog is learning to jump over hoops or jump over agility jumps. They may learn to jump on the couch. If you don't let your dogs on the couch, first off, why don't you let your dogs on the couch? But know that they may transfer that behavior into something else. You know, parkour is a big one. In the house, if you make an obstacle course, don't set them up to where they can land on the counter where all the food is. Also, trash can foraging, if they learn to look into cans or boxes, that smeller, that nose is going. So they're going to know where the good stuff is. So if they can get to it, they may try. So prevention and management is huge. And supervision is very crucial. I included these pictures of objects from my students where this lick mat was in the back of the car and it was night. And when they got home, they realized half the or a quarter of the mat was missing because their dog ate it. And we don't want that to happen. Also, the Kong wobbler right here, he got done and then he realized I could chew on this thing and it tastes pretty good too. So supervision is huge when it comes to enrichment and everything, really, unless you can manage their ability to get into things and prevent them from getting into things too. So the benefits of enrichment, same thing that we said earlier. Have fun, build the bond, increase the quality of life, give them a positive outlook, prevent boredom, and we just want them to be happy. We want this to be a thing that you guys can do together. Because remember, it's not don't think of it as busy work. Think of it as bonding with your dog. Okay, so these resources are for you guys. First, your own creativity. I hope that some of this sparked some mental light bulbs to go off in your brain of, oh, I can do this, or we can make something like that. Because the possibilities are truly endless. This book on the left-hand side by Shay Kelly, I have not read it, but I know people who have. Duck over here on the right side, he read it, and then he ate some of it too. He said it tasted good, but it's worth looking into. I found this book in this Facebook group, which I highly encourage everyone to join. Every day there's people coming up with new ideas of how to enrich their dogs. A lot of stuff from this presentation was pulled from that group. And then there's even more, you know, I mean, we could talk for hours on things that they could do, but that's a great source of material there. Also, the positive reinforcement trainers. If you ever have questions, contact us. Or if you're not in the area, you can contact somebody that you can find on this website. That's huge. And this last link is a playlist that I've made of enrichment sessions that I've done with places like Altadena and Helena Doghouse. Just kind of compilation videos of things that I've done with the dogs there. You can pull ideas from that too, or see kind of how it's done. Let's see, I may lag again, so I am sorry about that. Let's see. So frequently asked questions, and then we'll wrap up. If my dog is nervous or anxious or stressed, stop and take a break. Think about why they may be stressed, what's going on in the environment, or what's going on in general, or try to set them up for success. If your dog's nervous about car rides, don't start off by just giving them the lick pad in the car. Give them the lick pad at home. Let them become familiar with the object and then pair the two. But don't ever push them if they're nervous or stressed. Just stop, take a break, love on them, pet on them. You know, that will do so much more benefits for your dog rather than to try to push them to jump over the agility jump, okay? How long should enrichment sessions be? 10 to 15 minutes is great. They don't have to be that long. They don't have to be that short, but your dog will tell you when they've had enough. I encourage you guys to plan the sessions ahead of time, kind of like the next question. So you kind of know what you want to do. And also, it's not, we're doing the same thing every day, or we just don't want it to be repetitive or monotonous to you or your dog. So keep it fresh, plan it ahead. You can make yourself a kind of a schedule of, on certain days we do this enrichment, other days we'll do something else. We never do the same thing twice on the same day. It's up to you guys, but it helps to kind of plan it out so that way you can know, all right, we'll just do this today, you know. If your dog's not toy motivated, that's where the shaping comes into play. I would say talk to one of us about shaping your dog to like the tennis ball or like the tug toy or whatever object it may be that your dog is interested in or not interested in, and we can kind of work with that. So using us as a resource is huge. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out or send us a video, or if there's something your dog does great, send us a video so we can share it. You know, we would love to do that. So that's the end. Thank you guys of the presentation. I will pull up the chat because there's lots of stuff over here. Again, if you guys have questions, let me know, and we'll go from there. So I'm gonna look at this chat over here. I love seeing people have the wobbler. Wobbler's great. Let's see what we got. Reggae music. I love that, Rebecca. I play it all the time. So Molly's a fan. And it looks like we have some other recommendations of music too. Ludovico is a great composer. I love it. Okay. Do I view enrichment activities as one-on-one dog and pet parent time? Yes, and it doesn't have to be just one-on-one. So if you have kids in your house or another parent or someone else that wants to get involved, by all means, you know, you can toss a ball between the three of you. I saw this amazing video on Facebook this week of a trio, 2 people and a dog playing volleyball together. So 3 hits, and then the dog is the 3rd hit, and then they just keep playing like that. So no, it's not just one-on-one dog pet parent time, but I would like to think of it as you and your dog, because some people will say it's just I give my dog something and there he goes. Instead, I'd like for you to think about interacting together. So let's see. So Rebecca, if they have multiple dogs, it's interesting because I don't have multiple dogs. I just have one. But I would say that depends on your dogs and how they interact together. If they're not totally stoked about both chasing a jolly ball around the yard or both fetching something, if there's a resource guarder in the midst, I would encourage doing one at a time. But that would give you an opportunity to enrich another dog with one of those things where they don't need interactivity from a human while you're interacting with the dog that does need the feedback. So that would be a way to kind of put 2 and 2 together. As far as enriching multiple dogs at the same time without being in 2 places at the same time. Michelle, the location with the picture, Pelham with the rocks, that's at the high school behind the visitor side. I found out recently they put those rocks there because people were driving in the grass and tearing up the grass, so they put all these 30-something flat river rock there. So they make great jumps and nose work activities too. You can lay treats on each thing and let your dog interact. But it's at the high school, and you can go up there as far as I know now. I haven't been stopped, and police are just waving at me, so seems like it's all right to be up there. Does anyone have any other questions or anything? I know we're right at 7:05, so sorry if I went a little bit over. But yeah, I appreciate you guys too. I will send this recording to y'all with the PowerPoint. It'll have the slides, it'll have the links. Anything else you guys can think of, just let me know, and we'll be glad to help you all out. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it. Thank you guys, and hope to see y'all soon. Send us videos if your dog finds one of these things interesting, or you pick up something and they love it. Send us videos so we can share it and spread the word about enrichment. So thank you guys, and I will talk to y'all soon. Bye.